welcome to the AART Podcast with me, Chris Stafford. If you're listening on your podcast app, don't forget you can watch the entire show now on YouTube. So hop over to our YouTube channel, the AART Podcast. And of course, if you're on your podcast app, we love it if you leave us a rating and review, because that helps our rankings and then helps others find the show. Because, as you know, in podcast land, there's a lot of choice out there. So we'd love it if you'd give us a follow, share with anyone you think who might enjoy the show. And, of course, on Instagram, we're at AART Podcast. Don't forget AART with 2 A's. And someone who's become a listener of our show is joining me now from the UK, and that's Thea Gould. I think Gould. Is it Gould or Gold? Gould.
Gould.
But it should be Gold.
Well, it's Anglo-Saxon for gold, apparently. And yes, it should be gold.
Because it fits perfectly with what you do.
It does. It's funny, in my Google sends me information on what people are putting into my website, and quite often people put in Theodora Gould looking for me.
So you're not going to change your name just because of what you do?
I'm not sure my husband would thank me for it. So.
Well, welcome to the podcast. I believe this is your maiden voyage.
It is. First podcast. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. Tell us where you are exactly. You're in a beautiful part of the south of, in the UK, in the south of England.
Yep.
Very
Southwest.
pretty part.
Yeah, it's a little village. So what do we have? We have a village hall and a church, but no shop. We have a really nice, quirky pub. And then our nearest town is probably Glastonbury, which is about 10 minutes away.
Okay.
And obviously most people heard of Glastonbury because of the Glastonbury Festival.
Indeed, they have, especially over here. Yeah. It's one of the big music festivals, isn't it? And it gets a bit
huge.
Wild down there during the festival.
Yeah.
Do you go or do you steer away from it?
I have been a lot in the past. We tend to just go on the Sunday now because we're local. We can get Sunday tickets. And I think my days of camping and doing the whole festival are over. It's a bit much for me now, but we like going on the Sunday.
Yeah. And you're a transplant though, aren't you? You are actually Irish, although we'd never tell you're Irish by your accent. You've outgrown that a long time ago, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it was a Welsh accent I had for a long time. So I'm originally from Ireland and then moved to Pembrokeshire when I was about 3. So then moved to Somerset when I was about 13. So when I came to Somerset, I actually had a thick Welsh accent. And,
did you?
Yeah, I've lost that too. Yeah. Let's talk about computers and
computers
fire.
And yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know I have a soft spot for Wales. I lived in that part of the world too. But Irish
lovely,
by birth. So tell us a little bit about the early... Do you remember being in Ireland as a child?
Not really, no. I think I have a few little snippets in my mind, but then you're never sure if that's because you've seen a photograph of something or if you actually remember it. But no, I don't remember living there.
What is your very first memory? Your very first, if you have a moment when you think back on what was the very first one?
Yeah. I think my very first memory might have been leaving Ireland. I think the day we left. But then again, I'm not sure if that's something I've made up in my head or if I do actually remember it. So we forgot the cat and we had to go back to the cat.
Oh dear. It's a big mistake.
Yeah.
Oh dear. I'm glad you went back for.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
So, that was County Galway.
So I was born in Galway, but my father's sort of house and estate it's on the border of Offaly and Tipperary. So I was born in Ballinasloe Hospital in Galway, but the house we lived in and my father lived in for a long time afterwards, is on the border of Offaly and Tipperary.
So tell us about your roots, then your parents' roots, and why they were in County Galway.
So my father's, the family history on my father's side, I found absolutely fascinating. And if you look at my business logo, it's a double-headed eagle. And that's actually our family crest. So Elizabeth I sent our family to Ireland to sort out the Irish. So when I say I'm Irish, I'm Anglo-Irish, and probably by Irish people, I'm not considered Irish, even though we've been there since the reign of Elizabeth I. So she granted us lands there, and we built a castle, which Cromwell knocked down, and then they built a sort of house on that land. And then after the war, my grandfather sold that house, the family home, and my father inherited another house, which was absolutely enormous and great fun to mess around in growing up. So yeah, that was kind of, my father was in the army, and then he left the army when he inherited the house and moved there, and he met my mother. I think he was stationed out in Germany, and my mum was a nanny to a forces family, and they met and married and both moved back to Ireland.
That's your father, Guy Atkinson, and your mother, Mary Thomas. I love the notion of sorting out the Irish. I'm not sure they would appreciate that today. But...
No, I don't know. I think we're still pretty unpopular for it. Yeah, it wasn't me personally.
No, I'm sure you've got nothing against the Irish.
No, not at all. Love them. No.
Yeah. So do you have a lot of family back there still?
Yes, yeah. My dad and my stepmom, and I've got a brother and sister in Dublin, and numerous cousins, and so we used to go back a lot. We go back most school holidays. My older brother and I. We don't go back that much now. You sort of got lives and jobs and families and things, but we try to see each other sort of once a year if we can. Yeah. So I haven't actually been back to Ireland for a while, but I'm seeing all of that side of the family in May, which is nice.
So you then moved down to Wales then from Ireland. And
yes.
What was the reason for that?
Well, I think it was because my grandparents were in Pembrokeshire, so my mother moved us there. Which were also, I mean, I lived there till I was 13, and that was, I was so lucky. It's such a beautiful part of the world, the beaches and the countryside, and it was lovely.
It's idyllic, really, because you have got that beautiful countryside, and you've got the beach, and you're far from the madding crowd, as we say. Yeah.
No, I have a soft spot in my heart for Pembrokeshire. It's a lovely place.
Yes, I'll bet. What were your childhood memories then with your parents at the time growing up there?
In Pembrokeshire, well, we had ponies. So, my life sort of revolved around ponies and riding. And again, we were rural in the countryside. So it was nice. And then we spent a lot of time at the beach. So we had in Pembrokeshire, we had a nice big group of sort of families that all mixed together. And I remember I think it was probably just one summer, but in my mind, it was every summer was just really hot, and we'd spend all day on the beach and take a picnic. And it was lovely.
Did you ride on the beach?
Yeah, we did. We didn't live close enough to ride the horses to the beach, but we used to put them into the horse box and take them down to the beach and then ride them in. My pony was never very keen on the sea, so he'd kind of go in up to his tummy and then absolutely refused to go any further.
And now, are these Welsh ponies or Welsh mountain ponies you were riding?
Well, I had a Welsh cob.
Oh, you did? Oh, good for you.
I did. And he was absolutely lovely. He was the nicest pony in the world. And he was far too big for me when I first got him. And my feet didn't come down below the saddle flaps, but he was so gentle. And I rode him until I was about 14. So.
Did you? Yes. Yeah. Very, very hardy and good for those hills.
Yes. Yeah.
Takes me back to rounding up the Welsh mountain ponies on the Black Mountains near Hay on Wye.
Oh, lovely.
Yes. Oh, I used to go down there and round them up and load them up and take them back to the Midlands and sell them,
oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Great sports. So, we're on the same page here. You're speaking my language thing. We can talk about ponies, especially Welsh ponies, Welsh mountain ponies. But I want to know a little bit about your family, because you've got a lot of artists in your family, a lot of art influence. Yeah.
So I'd say mainly my mother. So she's just always been creating or, or making. She tends to, we laugh about how both of us sort of flit from one discipline to another. Like one week we might be doing painting, and another we might be deciding we're doing stained glass or getting wildly excited about crochet or, just different things. But yeah, Mum's always been creative. And I think probably her most successful venture out of the things she did was her photography.
Right.
So really, really good photographer.
Did you have exposure, no pun intended, to darkroom then? Did she have a darkroom?
Yeah, she did have a darkroom, yes. Yeah. So we used to go and I'd stand in there while she was developing things and could smell all the chemicals. I've got the smell of it in my mind. It's nice
very
memory.
Evocative, isn't it? I mean, smells are very evocative, but she's done all kinds of things in her life.
Yeah.
See, a talented woman. What do you remember so fondly about growing up with her and her influences because of all the things that she did? Just talk us through some of those.
Well, I think it was probably very inspiring to see. I mean, I think I just took it for granted when I was little. That's just how things were. But sort of looking back on it, I think she probably just inspired me to know that I could go and do what I wanted, and not to be sort of held back thinking, oh, well, I can't do that or I can't do this. I think that was probably the main thing I got from her. It was slightly tough love growing up. She was never like overly enthusiastic about anything you did, unless it was excellent. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because, she wouldn't just say she liked something for the sake of it. So, I'd come in with a painting or something I'd made, and if she really liked it, you knew she really liked it. Like, she wouldn't just say, oh, well done, dear, that's brilliant, unless, it was.
Yeah.
So she has a very, very wobbly teapot that I made her, which she still has in her kitchen today. And I know she absolutely adores that.
Uh-huh. And you have sent me your playlist, like all our guests do, but you have filled in this really the soundtrack of your life. So I want to talk about some of the tracks that you've obviously reflected on as being meaningful in the soundtrack of your life. And your first one is Me and My Arrow by Harry Nilsson. What's the memory connected to that?
I think my mum playing me the record. It's Oblio, isn't it? I think, with the pointy head. I can't fully remember the story, but I remember Mum used to get the record player out and put that on. And I think that song's just sort of stuck with me for life. And whenever I hear it, it brings a sort of warm feeling inside. That and Captain Beaky, that was another one we used to listen to.
Remember Captain Beaky? Yes. Yeah. That had a lot of airtime on the radio, that one too. Were you musical?
No. Not at all. So I went to my secondary school was actually a music school, but I wasn't a musician. So no, I did want to sing, but we couldn't really afford singing lessons, so I didn't do it. And I don't think I wanted to sing badly enough that I missed out. But
one day you're hoping to have a dog and call him Arrow after that first song.
Yes. So I had a beagle who I absolutely adored, and I wanted to call him Arrow, but my partner at the time didn't. So it was kind of both of our dog. But I feel that one day I'll have a dog, and it'll be my dog and my companion, and it'll be called Arrow, and it'll come with me everywhere.
Perfect. Now, when you were home in the kitchen with your mother, was she teaching you a lot of things that mothers do, like, the sewing, the cooking, the kind of domestic things that would inspire your craft as well? Because you have developed your crafts into an art, haven't you?
I mean, my mother's a really good cook. So I wouldn't say I'm a really good cook, but, I sort of got that kind of, a knowledge of food and things from her. She's also, she was a healer, and she does EFT tapping now. So I think there was always a sort of interest in spirituality and things like that from her. With regards to housekeeping and things, I'm not a domestic goddess. So I'd much rather be making something than cleaning the house. So quite often the house is sort of knee deep in dog hair, but nobody really cares.
Does this mean that spirituality has rubbed off on you? Are you at all religious or spiritual?
Yeah, I think I am. I definitely believe in something. I wouldn't say I'm religious. I'm not sort of massively into kind of organised religion. Each to their own. I think all religions really just boil down to the same thing of just be a nice person, and be kind. And I think that's sort of the lesson that comes through on them all. But yeah, so from my mother, I picked up some things, and then living near Glastonbury. So Glastonbury is quite a sort of spiritual hub, and I think yes. when my older brother and I were teenagers, we went and did a course to learn to read the runes and things like that. So,
how interesting!
Yeah. I can't read the runes now, but the course was good. It was fun, interesting.
Yes, it's very arty and crafty and spiritual, isn't it?
A lot of crystal shops and
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about your brother. You have one brother, one full brother, right? But you have a blended family, as they say here, with lots of other stepsisters and brothers. So tell us about your brother, Tom.
Yeah, so Tom is, I think, 2.5 years older than me. And unfortunately, he used to live just across the field from where I live now, and I used to be able to walk over there. But his wife is from Kent, so they moved back to Kent probably about 10 years ago now. So I don't get to see him as often as I like, but he will be there at our get-together in May. So I will sort of have a proper catch-up with him then. But yeah, no, we've always been close. Yeah, we were. I mean, we used to fight, as siblings do. But I think because of the transition between Ireland and Wales, having to go, we went to Ireland sort of every holiday. Tom and I were the one sort of thing in each other's life that was always
constant.
There. So yeah. So when we went to Ireland, we were there together, and when we went to Wales, we were there together. So I think that sort of made us, we just sort of understood each other and the sort of the situation of travelling around and things. So.
And what kind of things did you do as children? He was a little bit older. Was he protective? Did you go and play games with him? Were you sporty with him?
He was protective. There's a story of when I was at the first school I went to in Wales, and there was a boy that was a bit of a bully, and we had a nativity play, and my mother had lost my brother, didn't know where he was, and they went and found him, and he had this boy up against the wall by the scruff of the neck saying, "Don't you go near my sister." And I was 4, so he must have been about 6. So he was very protective. We did play together. We used to spend hours melting down lead in the old forge. So my brother had discovered that at my father's house, one of the yards had an old blacksmith's forge, and he'd fixed the bellows. And he came in really excited one day and said, "Oh, you have to come and see. I fixed the bellows in the forge." I was like, I didn't know we had a forge. So we went down there, and then we scoured the whole estate for any lead we could find and lit the fire. And we spent days in there just like melting lead. And we had an old brick. And you know how you get the divot in the middle of the brick? It was the exact shape of an ingot. So we used to pour the lead into there. And then we had a suitcase full of lead ingots and, felt rich, and it was brilliant fun. I mean, horribly dangerous.
Terribly dangerous. What would you do with them?
Playing with lead and fire, but it was brilliant fun.
Yeah. What did you do with them?
We didn't do anything with them. We would just put them in a suitcase, and it was fun. That was the point of it. Yeah.
What kind of things were you interested in school? Were you a good scholar?
Not really. I was when I was quite little. So I was sort of well ahead of everybody in sort of English and strangely maths, which I'm appalling at now. And I got moved up a year when I was about 6. But I think moving me up a year was a bit of a mistake because I was quite shy and nervous. So all of a sudden I was in a classroom with people I didn't know as well. And I can remember just finding it really difficult being moved up class. And I didn't know why they were calling me out of the class when they moved me. I thought I'd done something wrong. So I think I wasn't sort of academically brilliant. I got put. My parents put me forward for a scholarship for Edgley when I was about 10. So I must have been doing fairly well. I didn't get the scholarship, but yeah. And then I think once I hit my teens, I just lost interest. I was more interested in boys and being a bit naughty, I think. So.
Oh, were you? Were you mischievous?
Yeah, I was mischievous.
Did you get away with it, though? It's one thing to be mischievous.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. My brother didn't get away with anything, but I got away with everything.
The primary school was in Pembrokeshire, Wolf Castle School.
Yeah, that was kind of the first school I went to. That was the all Welsh speaking school. And I wasn't there for very long. I do remember the school. It was just literally 2 classrooms. It was tiny. And they only spoke Welsh. Like, they wouldn't speak English to me. And I can remember meeting my teacher in the supermarket and her talking to me in Welsh. And I can remember replying. I can't tell you what I said because I don't speak Welsh now, but I obviously was able to speak enough to kind of get by. But sadly, it's all gone now.
And then Haylett Grange in Haverfordwest.
Yes,
right.
Which was a lovely little school and run by 2... Again, when I was little, I took it for granted. But looking back now, they were incredibly inspiring women. So Mrs. Sharp and Mrs. Hamby. And I've looked into the history of the school a bit since I left, and they couldn't find a school that they wanted for their children, so they decided to set one up, and they bought this house and they turned it into a school. And it was a lovely school.
And then you were sent away to boarding school. Now, why were you sent away?
Well, I actually asked to go to boarding school.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I don't really know why. So I was 10. My brother was at boarding school. Tom, older brother, was at boarding school. He was at Cheltenham Boys College, which he didn't love, but he kind of just got on with it. And I think maybe I wanted to be like him, and I asked to go to boarding school, which was a mistake because after a term I absolutely refused point blank to go back.
Yes, that was quite
so homesick. Yeah.
Yes, that was quite a drastic reaction to it. You went to Badminton School, which is in Bristol, right? So just over the Severn Bridge for you, but a very good school.
Well, it wasn't at the time. At the time, we were living in Pembrokeshire, so it was a long way.
Oh, yeah. Yes, you were.
So now it's not far, but then it was quite a long way.
Yeah. And you rebelled against it.
I did. I mean, nothing personal against the school. There was a really lovely teacher, and I remember just being so homesick and sobbing in class. And she sat me down and she told me how she was a refugee during the war. And I just stopped, and I was so engrossed in her story and her feelings. And I think I'd have gone back, but over that holiday, I heard that she was leaving. And for me, she was my sort of lifeline, I think. So when I knew she wouldn't be there, it was just all too scary to go back. So.
Oh, bad memories then. But you went to secondary, what we called secondary modern school then in Haverfordwest again. But was that a better experience?
It was fun, but I think this is where all the naughtiness started. So it was quite a sort of rebellious school. It wasn't sort of academically the best school. I have no idea what it's like now. But I mean, it was a lot of fun. But I think my mother and stepfather were quite keen to get me and my brother out of the school just because of, I think, influences from other people and things. So I think that partly prompted the move to Somerset. And also my little brother and sister is quite big, from my mother and stepfather. There's quite a big age gap, that they were thinking to the future and them going to school. And, I don't think they really wanted them to be going to that school either. So I think that was sort of part of the reason for moving to Somerset.
But you graduated then with 2 GSCs, so 2 A-levels, and very, very different sort of theatre studies and
English literature. Yeah, and I was doing biology as well, but I failed. made it modular, and I'd failed every single module. So towards the end of the GCSE course, I had so many modules to take that I was like, there's just no point. Just going to stop now.
And then
so, yeah, I think I scraped through on English literature, and I loved theatre studies.
Oh, you?
That was good fun, yeah.
And then you went to Whitechapel, Guildhall University, Whitechapel in London. How did that decision come about as to where you would go on to get a bachelor's in conservation and restoration?
Yeah, conservation and restoration. So there weren't many places that were doing restoration courses. I knew I wanted to do restoration. There was one in Lincoln, De Montfort University, which I went and looked at, and it was really good. I was very scared of going to London, so the other course was the Whitechapel one. I was very scared of going to London because I was a hayseed. I wasn't used to the city, so it was a bit scary. But the logo on the Guildhall University, their logo was a dragon. And when I was little, my imaginary friend was a dragon. And I had him tattooed on my hip. My 18th birthday, I had him tattooed on my hip. So any sort of dragon symbol, I always see it as a sign that that's the thing to do. So that was what made up my mind. So I had to sort of, put on my brave pants and say, right, I'm going to London. and that's what happened.
Was that the first tattoo?
Yes, that was. Yeah, and my mother took me to get it, but I think she knew I would do it anyway. So she said she'd rather that she knew I was going somewhere responsible, and so that was my 18th birthday present.
How was college?
Oh, it was fun. Yeah, it was. It was fun. So the course was interesting because it was actually a science degree. So it was a third history, a third science, and a third practical. But it was really good at kind of giving you a kind of a little bit of everything and seeing what you liked. So, I mean, when you leave school, you're so young and you really don't have a clue. So the course was really good to kind of show me which areas I was interested in. And I think it really showed me how much I loved the kind of practical side. I loved all the decorative surfaces, the gilding. Wood science didn't really do it for me massively. Chemistry I sort of find interesting, but it goes in one ear and out the other. So yeah, it was a good course, but really just a starting point. So from then you would choose if you wanted to go and work in a museum or a commercial workshop, as I did. But yeah, lots of different things you could do.
Was that then perhaps your earliest influence when it comes to the work you're doing now in art and the gold inlaying and so on? Was that where it began?
I'd say that probably it began at my father's house in Ireland. So the house had sort of 200 years worth of family history in it. Every cupboard, every drawer was full because, family had been living in it. And there was so many like beautiful artworks and gilded frames and lovely furniture, but everything was sort of a bit shabby and a little bit broken. So I think my sort of love for the antiques came from that house. But yeah, the course definitely kind of, I think, showed me my love for sort of the hands-on, actually doing it myself, realizing I could do it myself.
Were you exposed to art? Did your parents take you to galleries and museums as a child?
I'm not sure we really did. I don't think I've ever really thought about it. I can't think of a time when we did. It was more sort of outdoor stuff. We were kind of, out with my father, we'd be sort of fishing in the west of Ireland in holidays and then riding ponies in Pembrokeshire and beaching. And yeah, we weren't sort of indoorsy people. So I don't remember galleries and things.
Where did that culture begin then for you, the art culture, so to speak?
So Instagram, I think. So I did my my degree, and then I went and I went and worked in a commercial workshop, and there I was doing japanning and gilding and lacquer work and painted furniture. So I was very much introduced to it there, and also realised I was quite good at it, which was nice. It was sort of praised, and to be good at anything always, I think, gives you more encouragement to do more of it. So yeah, I think it probably came from my apprenticeship. So it was a 3-year apprenticeship in a commercial workshop in London. Sorry, you might have to repeat the question. I've sort of lost the thread of it.
Where the art culture made an impression on you?
And then later, I think that was a very sort of practical craft side of things. And then later on in life, I was pregnant with my son, and I wanted something I could do from home. And I'd heard about this stuff called silver clay. I don't know if you know what silver clay is, but it's a bit like pottery clay, but it's silver particles with an organic binder and water, and you can shape it and make things out of it, and then you fire it in a kiln or with a blowtorch, and it burns off the organic binder and leaves you with pure silver. And I'd heard about this stuff. So when I was pregnant, my mother said, let's go and do something fun together before baby comes. And I said, well, I've heard about this stuff called silver clay. Can we go and do a silver clay course? So my mum, my sister-in-law and I went and did that, and all absolutely loved it. And it got both me and my mother into making jewellery. And then when I was making the jewellery, I was promoting it on Instagram. So then I started doing little paintings to kind of use as props for photographs and things like that, because Instagram was very much a kind of photographic thing. It was much more about flat lays and stuff when I first started. And then the painting side of it, I realised how much I loved that. And I felt that the painting kind of connected me to nature. So suddenly I was noticing more things in nature, because I was thinking with a sort of artist's eye. I was thinking about how I'd paint that, or, the changing seasons, and how I could sort of get that down onto paper. And then the painting just sort of took over. And then when I started incorporating the gold work with it, that was when it kind of took off, and that's where I am now.
Yes, you stuck with gold.
Yeah, I did.
Let's go to your 20s, because when you were 20, you came over here to the States.
I did.
And there's some music that resonates still today with you, that you associate with that trip. You went to Yosemite. I mean, you had quite an adventure here, it sounds. How long were you here?
I did. Only, was it 3 or 4 months? So as part of my degree, we had to do a work placement, and I think it was meant to be 2 months. And they said, would I be willing to go overseas? So I was like, yep. So they said, well, we've got somebody in America who would take you. So I thought, well, if I'm going to America, I might as well make the most of it and take an extra month and take myself off to see some of America. So when I landed in Boston, this lovely woman, Letitia, we're still friends, picked me up. And it turned out that she had done the same course at university as me. She was English. She had also gone to Wells Cathedral School, and her grandparents lived in the same town that my parents were living in at the time. So there were all sorts of synchronicities. Yeah. What was the question again?
But your adventures, because you went and explored while you were here.
Yeah. So then I'd heard that you could buy as a tourist, you could buy a sort of not too expensive train ticket. I mean, there were no mobile phones or anything at this time. So it was, I can't remember how I booked my tickets, but you had to sort of decide where you're going and book it the day before or a couple of days before. So I got on the train. So Letitia put me on the train in Boston, and I went to, where was the first stop? It might have been Salt Lake City. But it was quite a long time on the train. And then I had a guidebook, and I'd stay in hostels, and I was all on my own. So I was kind of forced to talk to people, which is kind of out of my comfort zone. But it was lovely. And the Amtrak trains with the glass ceiling, going through the Rockies, that was absolutely beautiful. And that was really lovely. Yeah. And that song by Natalie Merchant. So
San Andreas Fault.
Yeah. And anytime I hear it now, I'm back in the bus on my way from Yosemite to San Francisco, because I had a cousin that lived in San Francisco, so that she was on my route. So, yeah.
And you did cross over into Canada?
Twice. So I went from Seattle, I went to Vancouver. Mm-hmm. And there was some family or work contact there. So it may have been a friend of Letitia's met me and took me up to Whistler. And it was the summer, so we took the ski lift up the mountain. And I was in my flip-flops, and it was -4 and snowing at the top. And so, yeah, I went into Canada there, and then I came back down into America and went to LA because I was very lucky. I had a private viewing of the Getty Museum. So I'd be staying in this awful hostel on Hotel Boulevard in LA. Hotel Boulevard. What's the one with the stars on the street? Can't remember. Anyway.
Gone.
Yeah, I was staying
totally
there
gone.
in LA. And I'd managed to find my way by bus across the city to the Getty Museum. And I'd said to the bus driver when I got on the bus, "Is this bus going to the Getty Museum?" And he said, "Yes." So I got on. And when I got off the bus, he said, "This is a Getty Museum, but it's closed today." I was like, oh, no. Anyway, I managed to get through to someone in the museum, and they said, "Oh, yeah, I can't remember the man's name, but it was a contact of Letitia's. And there's a little train, I think, from memory, that goes up to the Getty Museum." And I went up on the train, and he met me at the top, and he gave me a tour of all the conservation department and bought me lunch, and you know, and there was no public in the museum, so it was wonderful.
What were the pieces of art then that have stayed with you from that?
But you know what? It's the conservation department that stayed with me.
Okay.
It was it was the technology and sort of advanced, and the fact that everything had to be strapped down in case of an earthquake. So while they're working on things, everything has to be secure in case there's an earthquake. And just very clever systems for extracting fumes and things, which I know doesn't sound very arty, but that's what struck me. And then I have a picture in my head of just sunshine and white marble and water and a view.
And so that was altogether a good experience then, and not only being exposed to that, but the whole of the American excursion.
Oh, it was wonderful. I mean, I was 20, so I wasn't able to drink, which was a bit annoying for me because having come from England, obviously at 18, you can drink. So that was slightly annoying, but not the end of the world. But yeah, I saw the Grand Canyon and where else? Oh yes, and then Niagara Falls. So I went back into Canada on the other side and went up to see Niagara Falls. And then I went back to Boston and worked in Boston for a bit. And I love Boston. Boston and San Francisco were my favorite cities. Yeah. But I remember going to see a baseball game, went to see the Red Sox play.
Oh, did you?
Is it Fenway Park? Is that the one? Mm. That's a lovely memory as well. And that kind of blew my mind, walking out into the stadium and the feeling, everybody's excitement. And it was wonderful.
So when you came back to England then, did you have to go back to college? But this was just inserted in your... Okay.
Yeah, it was part of the course. So I think it was the beginning of my third year. So I came back and, just went into my third year at university.
And then what?
During my third year, my mother and stepfather and left brother and sister moved to Spain. So I kind of didn't have a base in England anymore. So when I finished university, I went and stayed with them for about 6 months in Spain. And my mother and stepfather they were nice. They were like, just take as much time as you want. When you're ready, go back and get a job and stuff. So I think sort of after 6 months, I was like, okay, I've got a really nice suntan now. I should probably go and get a job. So the university put me in touch with a company called Titian Studio in London, which is where I did the 3-year apprenticeship. And they just taught me a huge amount of the kind of practical side of it. So I think at university, I just sort of learnt the basics, really. And then my time with them was, because it was a commercial workshop, it was stuff sort of coming through quite quickly and a lot of things. So yeah, I learnt some really valuable skills there.
What kind of things were you doing, say?
So a lot of things for interior designers, antique dealers. Yeah, I mean, some of the sort of the Mallets and a sort of big company in London, we do a lot of restoration work for them. Things like one thing I remember doing, we had these lovely old leather fire buckets which had the royal insignia on them. So, sort of consolidating and filling holes and replacing decoration and sort of making them, you didn't want anything to look new, but just so it didn't look as though it was completely knackered. And then lots of Japanning, so Japanning chinoiserie. And then, so we did a television cabinet for an interior designer. Somebody wanted to watch the racing in their dining room. So we did this huge, because at the time then TVs had those really big backs. So it had this huge japanned cabinet, which we just completely created from nothing. So he could fit his television in it, but it looked like he had a japanned cabinet in his dining room.
Tell us about the soundtrack of your love life as well, because you got married. At what point in that very early
I left
marriage?
Titian Studios and moved back to Somerset with my now ex. Somebody in Somerset had offered me a workshop. I'd sort of said I was doing antique restoration. He said, "Oh, I've got some workshops. You must come and take one of the workshops." And I was like, "No, I'm not done in London yet." And my ex said to me, I think we should look at this. So we moved back and set up an antique restoration business together. But it didn't last very long. So we got married, and within 6 months the marriage was falling apart. And he went off with his boss.
What we call today a starter marriage.
Is that what it's called?
A starter. Yes, if you've had more than one marriage. So the first one, I think, is referred to as a starter marriage. And now you're married to Andy, who was a carpenter.
Yes.
When did you meet him along the way?
So I sort of fell apart a bit after my first marriage. I think not because I missed him desperately, but because of life had changed. You sort of expect things to be a certain way, and suddenly I didn't have a home anymore. I had my parents, but I didn't have my own home. So after I went and did a ski season in Verbier in Switzerland, which was just wild fun and absolutely brilliant and exactly what I needed. So when I came back from there, I was like, right, now I'm ready. So I started working for my stepfather, who's an estate agent, and I bought a tiny little cottage at the bottom of Glastonbury Tor, and suddenly just felt settled and happy. I had a little workshop in the garden, so I had a few little restoration bits and arty bits going on in the background, but my main income was coming from working for my stepfather. And I was doing online dating, and then there was just sort of meeting plunkers, really. And there was one day where
for those who don't live in England is a kind of a derogatory term, I would say, wouldn't it? Wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Derogatory. So here's a plonker.
Nice, but a bit useless. Okay. Yeah. And so I decided, do you know what? Actually, my life's good. I've got my little house. I've got my dog. And I'm really happy. And that evening I went to a house party of a friend. She was moving away. And we were going to go and drink her drinks cabinet dry. And my husband just walked in. He had come with one of this girl's friends, and it was just sort of chance, really, that he came, and that was it. And right from the word go, we kind of clicked. And he turned up. He turned up at my door. So we were talking about what I was doing. And at the time I was recreating a Queen Anne mirror, with Japanning for somebody. And I was sort of showing him photographs and explaining what I was doing. And a few days later, he turned up at my door with a blank version, like a wooden version that we could decorate together. And I was like, oh, no, I like this one. He's a keeper. So, yeah, and he's really encouraged my creative side. So my first husband, we were really struggling for money, and I had to do all sorts of jobs. So I worked in a call center and, anything really, just so we could pay the mortgage, as well as doing whatever restoration work we could get. But my first husband, got a really well-paid job. And I said, well, maybe I can go back to doing the restoration now. And he was like, no, I don't think so. So, the difference between the two men was vast. So Andy, my husband now, I mean, he's just the kindest soul in the world, and loves, I mean, he loves making as well. So he gets it. And he's always encouraging me and helping me and enthusing about things. And yeah.
Well, there's the cue for the next piece of music, which was the music that you play, your first dance at your wedding with Andy.
Yeah.
A Life That's Good by Lennon and Macy, right?
Yeah.
What is it about the lyrics there that resonate with you?
I just love the words. It's like, I don't want to be rich and famous. I just want a life that's good, a home to come back to, and enough food and, some warmth. You don't need much in life, just life that's good. And both of us well up a little bit, actually, when we hear it, just because you can very easily get swept up in life, I think, in sort of, oh, I need this and I want that and this is the next step and things, and actually just take it back to basics and just want a life that's good.
You still dance together?
No, but I would never really have. Apart from sort of drunk at parties, I don't think. Neither of us are really big dancers.
But at your wedding, that was one to remember.
Yeah.
Tell us about then when the time for art came along, because it's only with the last 6 years or something that you've got very serious about your artwork.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so when I was pregnant with my son, I mean, I was earning quite good money doing the estate agency with my stepfather. And then obviously my son was coming along and he was going to be the most important thing. And I wanted my life to be able to revolve around him. I didn't want to be having to put him into, before school clubs and after school clubs. And I didn't want to be working long hours away from home. So it was kind of my son that sort of facilitated it. One of my best friends is half Japanese, and I can remember talking to her before my son was born and worrying about money. And she said, oh, don't worry. Children bring money. That's what the Japanese believe. Babies bring money.
This is Monty, we should say. His full name is Montague, but you call him Monty.
Monty, yeah. He's 12.
Turning 13 in May.
Yeah, 13 in May. Teenager in the house soon.
Yes. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. So I think I've very lucky a position where I've been supported by my husband. So I think I realised that not everybody is able to just sort of create what they want to create and sell it, and then have any income that you make from it as sort of extra to add to the family pot. But I do like to be able to, contribute to the family pot. And luckily I'm in a position now where I can. And I've just paid for our summer holiday and things like that, which it's nice to be able to do that.
How much of your time is spent now with your art then, Thea?
Oh, I mean,
full time.
Every day I'm doing, yeah.
And how much of it is commissions?
It was a lot more than it is. So at Christmas, I decided I didn't actually want to do too many more commissions. I've still got some commissions that I took on sort of just before that time that I'm working my way through now. But it had got so busy and I had so many orders coming. I mean, I'm not complaining, it's absolutely amazing, but I had so many orders coming in. I was trying to get all the orders done and do the commissions and feeling a bit stressed about it. And didn't have any time to play. And I think as a creative person, time to play is so important. Like, you really need time to experiment and get things wrong and, you know, try different things. And it is what I love doing, is like messing around with different stuff. So I needed to kind of free up a bit of time. So for the moment, I'm not taking commissions. I will do again, and I have got a list of people waiting, which is lovely to be in that position. So when I feel I've got the headspace for it, I'll contact them and say, right, what would you like? So, yeah.
How do you describe your genre of art? Do you call yourself a gold leaf artist, or how do you describe yourself?
I would. It's called illumination, adding gold to artworks is illumination. So I guess I'm an illuminator, but also a botanical artist. So, I mean, I love flowers and nature. I'm absolutely rubbish at drawing people. As much as I'd love to be able to, I can't.
But when you do botanical art, what medium do you use for that?
Mainly watercolour. Watercolour, gouache. I do some digital work as well. So I discovered the iPad and Procreate. And that sort of changed things for me quite a lot, actually, because I do a lot of my sketching on it. So I will come up with the composition and do the drawing digitally and then transfer it to watercolour paper and finish it, the traditional way.
Interesting. Yeah. And your husband, Andy, he has a 3D printer. So do you utilize that as well?
Well, a kind of a lift. I don't know if you can see behind me. Hold on 1 second. Let me get. So I painted these little pictures on gold and set gemstones in the outside, but I had one of these little frames which had been hanging on my wall, and I think I probably bought it in a car boot sale or something years ago, and I couldn't for the life of me find anything the same online or anything that kind of worked for what I wanted. And I said to Andy, don't suppose you could 3D print me one, could you? So this one's 3D printed.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant.
That is so
he was like, no problem. So he looked at the original one and he measured it all out and he 3D printed it.
So there we are. We are. So where does your work go? That I'm calling it gold leaf painting, but for our wider audience, in terms of the outlets that not the commissions I'm thinking of. Where do you sell your work and who's collecting it?
So I sell it now through my website. When I first started selling, I sold through my own website, and then a few people said to me, "Oh, you should be on Etsy." And at the time, I was quite rude about it, and I was like, "I'm not sure there's anything. I'm not sure I really want to be associated with that." And then a few years later, I was like, "Do you know what? Maybe I'm being foolish, and I should look at it." And I looked at it, and it was absolutely brilliant. And my business grew, and it's now grown to the point where I've come off Etsy and I'm just selling through my website again, mainly because of sort of contact details and things and being able to keep in touch with customers, which obviously Etsy doesn't want to give you customers' details. So I feel like I have more control with my own website, and I was a bit worried doing it, but it's been absolutely brilliant.
And
most of the work goes to America, I think.
does it really? Yeah.
Yeah.
And what sort of price range would it be then? Because I'm thinking of our listeners and viewers here thinking, well, it looks beautiful, but it might be out of my range. What sort of range would it be?
So my gilded flower letters, hand gilded print. So obviously I paint the original and then digitize it and then print it and then put the gold on by hand. One of those is £95. That's obviously Great British pounds. I'm not sure what that is in dollars. And then I do sort of combined letters. So obviously there's more work involved with those because it's sort of putting them together. I can't remember actually off the top of my head what they cost, but they're 100 and something pounds. And then original artworks, which I do have a few of on my website, and they range from, I think, about £300 to about £600, something like that.
And they can find them on your website.
Yeah.
We'll put a link in the show notes to your website, of course, and to your social media. But we're coming to the fun part of the show now. When you get to tell me, I'm going to ask you who you would invite to a dinner party. Because first of all, do you enjoy cooking? Are you, or is it out of necessity?
I do enjoy cooking. I slightly resent the fact I have to cook every single day to keep my family alive. But I do enjoy it, and I sort of take pride in it, and I want them to enjoy it. So I do like cooking. I just don't like having to cook. Yes, you'll see when I do the dinner party. So, shall I say what I'd cook?
Yes, we want to know what you're going to cook exactly, how you're going to feed them, and the cuisine.
So it would be lasagna, which I know isn't probably the most exciting thing, but I think everybody loves it. It's kind of homely and comforting, and also I can make it in advance. So then I can sit and chat to everybody, and I'm not busy in the kitchen and missing out on the conversation. So that's my kind of entertaining. I like entertaining where I'm not missing out on all the fun because I'm too busy trying to create something, amazing. I'd rather people had a nice homely meal that I can prepare in advance.
Is this a kitchen supper then, Thea, or a formal dinner party?
Yes,
it's a kitchen
supper. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the kitchen suppers. Okay, tell us who's coming to dinner.
Oh, so the first person I thought of was Oscar Wilde. I just think it'd be great fun and very witty and intelligent. Next would be Jesus. I've got a few questions, and also he could turn water into wine, which would be very useful. Then I thought Leonardo da Vinci would be absolutely fascinating. I think he'd have some really good conversation topics.
Someone else has had Jesus to dinner. Have you? I don't know if you heard they? Ellen Kuras. Yeah, the film director and cinematographer. She invited.
I did listen to that one.
Yes, she said she had a few questions for him too.
Oh, I just like to know what's on water. Yeah,
yeah. So Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah, I think I absolutely love Robin Williams. So I think it would be lovely to have Robin Williams. I think such a kind, gentle, funny soul. So I'd like to have him. Jane Austen, I thought, would be interesting. Because again, I think she got on probably quite well with Oscar Wilde. I think they'd have
very much
a few social things, just to say about society and stuff together. And I'd like to hear them have a chat. And then the last person would be Dolly Parton, because I just absolutely adore her. I think she's wonderful, and I think she might get on quite well with Jesus too. So
she would have a very interesting conversation with him, I think.
Yeah.
Very direct. Yeah. She definitely would have a few questions for him too.
Yeah.
Who's going to sit either side of you?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't thought about that. I think we might have to do a Mad Hatter's Tea Party. We might have to move people around between courses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But who would you like to start off with?
I think I'd like to start with Robin Williams on one side and Dolly Parton on the other.
That would really warm things up, wouldn't it?
Yes. It would, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yes, definitely. You create the atmosphere right there with those two.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yes. And then I think, for those maybe a little bit more serious, like Jesus and Leonardo da Vinci, they would warm to the, a few glasses of wine.
Everybody be relaxed.
When you serve?
No, I'm not picky.
Okay. All right.
No,
with Jesus there, you're not going to run out of wine anyway.
No,
right?
Not an issue. Yeah.
Are you going to make them a dessert?
Yeah, I didn't really think about dessert, and actually, that's me through life. So during lockdown, obviously my son wasn't at school, and somebody said to him, he's never loved school, but somebody said to him, "What do you miss about school?" And he said, "Puddings." I was like, "Oh, I never make puddings." I sort of forget about them. What would I make? Maybe some chocolate brownie with ice cream. Yeah, and maybe a few raspberries on there as well.
Okay. Now,
something homely and,
Yeah. Yeah. It's a real comfort food. All of this is.
Yeah.
And then the kitchen's going to be warm and cozy.
I want everybody to be relaxed and a bit soporific and the cheeks glowing. Yeah.
Exactly. What music are we going to hear in the background? You're going to have something to accompany dinner? Would it be some Dolly Parton, or would that be too much?
No, I think that might be a bit much. I mean, I love her, but what else did I have on my list? Maybe some Clannad. I mean, Clannad was on my list, weren't they?
On your list, yeah.
But
and
that's kind
Johnny
of
Flynn.
Nice background. Yes.
Johnny Flynn,
yes.
director, which is something that you had described as the mood of the moment. This is where you feel you are in life. Tell us why.
I just love the song. For me, I don't quite know how to explain it, but it's like a sort of nostalgia. But when I hear the song, I mean, it makes me think of countryside and nature, and I see myself out on a walk, and the treasure that they're talking about in the song. I just think, I see the berries and the birds and all of that, and to me, that's the treasure. And it's just a beautiful song.
Do you do car karaoke with the family?
No, we don't actually.
No.
No. No, that would be quite fun though. I think my husband and I kind of sing along together probably. And our son sits in the back going, "Oh no, how embarrassing."
As they do, teenagers do.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what would be on your nightstand if you're a reader at all, are you?
Yes, I go through phases of reading. I mainly read when I'm on holiday. I think any free time I tend to be drawing or making something. So the iPad I like because in the evenings I can sit with the iPad on my knee, designing, creating, drawing. But reading, on my bedside table at the moment, I have the Book of Dust, Philip Pullman. His
I've heard of it.
Dark Materials. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the Book of Dust it's the kind of prequel to the trilogy that he wrote, The Golden Compass and The Subtle Knife. But I haven't actually read any of it for a week or two. I quite like historical biographies. I love Philippa Gregory books, where she kind of weaves a story into historical facts. So I love her books. So yeah, sort of, I think history books are probably my go-to.
You like poetry?
I do, but I'm not a kind of poetry buff. I don't know much about it. We had, at school, I was lucky enough, they took us and we heard Seamus Heaney reading some of his poetry.
Oh, wow, yes.
And that, really, I think hearing the poets read their own work and the feeling in it and things. So, I'm a fan of Seamus Heaney, but yeah, I don't know a huge amount about poetry.
What are you looking forward to this year, Thea?
Oh, what am I looking forward to? Well, I've had hanging over me. About a year ago, I started writing my second ebook, So I wrote one about how to work with the technique that I use for gilding. And then when I rub off the excess gold, there's lots of little flakes left, and loads of people, it was probably my second most common question is, what do you do with all the gold flakes? And I turn them into this thing called shell gold, which is a type of paint but made with real gold. So I started writing this book a year ago to sort of teach people about shell gold. And it's just been weighing down on me, but I got it out there last week. So it's done now. So all of a sudden I feel a sort of slight weight off my shoulders, and like I've got some space to maybe think about some different things. So I'm just excited to see what comes, really. We've got a few fun holidays planned and things like that.
Where are you going?
Well, we're going to France in May with my Irish family. And then a couple of days ago, we booked tickets to Bali, which is very exciting because I've never been that far. But a family friend and Monty's godfather lives in Bali. So we're going to go out and see him.
Wonderful.
In the summer.
Sounds like a fun year. Well, Thea, this has been great to get to know you. And thank you for sending. We also sent me some of your favorite female artists as well, of which there are quite a few. Do you want to give a shout out to some of those and why they resonate with you?
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember exactly who was on the list now.
Anne Mason was one.
Oh, yes, Anna Mason. So she kind of, when I first started doing these little paintings for my Instagram props and stuff, I was using watercolor because it was sort of quick and easy, quick drying. Whereas when I was doing my restoration work, I tended to work in oils, and I didn't really know what I was doing. And I did some Googling and I came across Anna Mason's, I can't remember what it's called, but her sort of online school, and the way she teaches just sort of really, I got it. Like I understood how she was explaining things. And I think her art school is a really great place if anybody wants to start to learn how to sort of use watercolors. And she does a lot of botanical work. Who else was on the list? There was Stephanie Rue. Yes. I mean, you have to look her up on Instagram. Her work is just beautiful, beautiful figure drawing, but then she'll weave gold into the fabric, and there's so much movement, and they're just lovely. Like even sometimes she does these beautiful oil paintings with backgrounds which are water gilded, and then there are sort of patterns burnished into them, and parts of the gilding are raised. So the background is, an incredible artwork, but then these beautiful oil paintings of these women in robes and things. But then even down to like her little sort of chalk sketches and things, and she puts gold leaf onto those. And I'm very envious and blown away by her work.
Well, we'll put the list, of course, in the show notes. And I love that, you follow all these women. And now that you're listening to the show as well, you're following people on social media, that some of the other guests on the show. So thank you for being supportive of this community thing.
Yeah, well, thank you for asking me to do it. I'm honoured. It's lovely.
And finally, let everybody know where they can find you online.
So mainly on Instagram. So I tend to post to Instagram and then it gets shared to other places from there. So it's theodora.gould on Instagram. And then my website, which is theodoragould.co.uk.
Simple enough. And again, these will all be linked in the show notes with this episode. So wherever you're listening or watching, you can find a way to get to know more about Thea's work, which is absolutely beautiful. Thea, thank you so much for taking time to come on the show. It's been a joy.
Thank you for asking me too. It was lovely. And I loved thinking about these things. It's not often you get an opportunity to think, oh, who would I invite for dinner and what are my favourite songs? So I really enjoyed the process of it. It's lovely.
Lovely. Well, thank you again. And thank you for listening and watching us here on YouTube. We will be back in a couple of weeks' time with another guest, of course. And if you have any suggestions for guests, do drop us a line to the AART Podcast at gmail.com. Don't forget, art is with 2 A's. And as always, we love it if you follow us on social media at the AART Podcast on Instagram. Until next time, then, thanks again to my guest this week, Thea Gould, and to you for listening and watching. Goodbye for now.